Welcome. This is a demonstration to generate a student art exhibition promotional poster using Adobe InDesign. Today I'll be walking you through the basics of working with InDesign, how to open a file, how to begin a new one, how to size it, how to input text as well as a background image. So just your general basic Adobe InDesign steps for getting started. We will be creating a promotional poster, which will be just a standard 11 by 17 promo poster. And I will show you how to save the work and then talk a little bit about exporting to print. All right, thank you for watching, and we'll get started now. What I'd like for everybody to do is to open Adobe InDesign. When you open InDesign, you will be greeted sometimes with previous projects if you have worked in it before. Other times you will be basically presented with a blank screen. So as you can see, a lot of times it will also give you some demonstrations of some things that you can do, but I'm just going to go ahead and click Done. I'm now going to go to File and New, and I'm going to create a document. You will see that you could create a book or a library. We're just going to create a document for today. Now notice that the toolbars look somewhat similar to what you might be greeted with in Photoshop and Illustrator, but we'll go through all that in just a little bit, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point out the fact that we don't need to worry about the number of pages at this point. We just have a one-page document. When you have multiple pages, such as like a brochure or a book, that's where you have to fiddle with facing pages. But right now we have in here just that it's one page. We are going to be creating a document which will be what's considered a tabloid size. You can also manually type that in. And our orientation for this project will be vertical. So it is considered portrait versus landscape. We do not need to worry about the columns or the bleed or anything like that. We're just going to go ahead and click OK. And as you can see, we now have our blank document. What we're going to start with first is adding our text. So I'm just going to hit the Type tool, click and drag to create a text box, and I'm going to begin typing. Note that up at the top, I have just a basic toolbar in terms of text. So what I'm going to do is just pick a random text, impact, it's regular, but I'm going to increase its size to, let's say 40 point or so, okay? And I'm going to type in student art exhibition. Okay, now I can click and drag on my text if I'm like, oh, it's totally not the right size, as I would like it to stretch across the entire page. So I'm just going to go ahead and arrow up. I've highlighted my text and I can gently click or click quickly. Now notice this little guy. This little red plus in the corner is telling me you have too much material, text, whatever it might be. It's not fitting in the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and decrease it. Okay, now you can also stretch out your text, but notice that now grouped it to the next level. You can increase the height of the text. Again, all of these different ways to kind of manipulate your text are up at the top for your reference. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click off. Okay, and of course we can change the color and all that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'll leave it black for right now. Okay, so now I'm going to type in essentially where it is. Ours is going to be at the Decker Auditorium. Now look how itty bitty this is. It's because it's 12-point font. So if that bugs you, you can kind of kick it up a notch here so you can actually see what you're doing. Actually, let's see. Triton Art Gallery, excuse me. Decker Auditorium. And, okay, I tend to put things in separate text boxes because I feel like if you get too much text, it gets to be a little bit overwhelming. And I like to pair no more than 2 fonts, typically something bold, sans serif, and then something with a serif. But I'm going to go ahead and pick something just a little bit more fun. Let's see, Julietta maybe. Oh, that's kind of too foofy. But anyway, we'll pick this for now, although I'm not such a big fan of that. Determining your fonts really can take a lot of time. And again, I'm going to increase its size. Okay. And sorry, that's going to drive me bonkers. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. Okay, so now I'm going to move this here. And another thing that's important for the poster, what it is, where it is, when it is another one. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag, and I'm going to increase the font size initially because otherwise you really can't see what you're doing. And our art show is April 22nd to May 3rd. Okay. Now, sometimes instead of typing April, I will put the number. That tends to be kind of a little bit more trendy looking, a little bit more modern. And again, I'm going to increase the size of this. Okay, so you can keep clicking away. You can also just type it in. You know, if you know that it's going to be, a big jump and don't want to feel like holding down this arrow the whole time. So I've got this here. Okay. Now, it's okay if, for example, this runs off the edge. That's fine as long as your text is here. And that bleed is just helpful because at least where I print, you sometimes run into the issue of let's add a little space there. You sometimes run into the issue of things being clipped off the edge. I also find it helpful with alignment. So I'm going to scooch this up so that it's holding that pink, not holding, but right butted up next to that pink line. Okay. You can also click and drag guides, which is helpful. So like, for example, if you know you want everything to be in this far from the edge or something of that nature, then you can easily do that. It's just helpful, and you can get rid of these and hide them later. So window is how you can determine what toolbars are apparent. So view is another one that is helpful in terms of what type of things you're seeing in your toolbar. Next, let's go ahead and add an image. Obviously, if I were actually creating this, I would spend much more time with it. A helpful tip is Control or Command plus or minus to zoom in and out of your work. The space bar is helpful to grab things. That's how this hand is appearing. So I'm going to go ahead. This is where I'm going to basically add my image. So I'm going to click and drag all the way to the bottom here. My computer's being a little slow today. And I'm going to go to File, Place, and it's going to ask me, well, what do you want to place there? So I actually have some images of student work that I recently put in a display downtown where in the town where I live. So I'm going to go ahead and put Mitch's piece here. Now, sometimes when you place images, all sorts of things can happen. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and click Fitting. Now, it will let you fill the frame proportionally. It will let you fill content proportionally, frame to content, content to frame, all kinds of things. Okay, so another thing you can do is click on View and click Overview Print, and it will show you a crisp image. A lot of times when you're working in InDesign, it looks blurred, and that's just to kind of help with the speed of processing and so that your computer doesn't get all boggled down. Now notice how I can't see any of my text. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to click Arrange, and I'm going to Send to the back, meaning I'd like my text to come forward. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. I'm a little too zoomed in because you could not see that. So, and sorry for the kind of slow putziness of my computer. It's not cooperating today. I must have too much stuff open. Now, my text is very difficult to read, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight my text, and I'm going to go up here and determine that I would like it to be the color of the paper, and see how that white now has allowed me to, it's just much easier to see it. And I am going to scooch this text a little more snugly up. Again, there's a lot of different ways that in another video it would take to go over typography in terms of how to modify text. Again, I cannot see the text, so I'm going to go ahead and say I would like it white, or ultimately the paper, to show through. Same with this one too. And voila. Now I, again, would spend much more time with this. There are more things I would definitely add, but this is just a general overview of how you could kind of get started in creating a document which could be used as a promotional poster. Next, we're going to go to File and Save As. And of course, we want to save our promo poster. And we want to make sure we know where it is saving. And right now it's an InDesign document. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. I'm also going to go to File and Export. Let's say I was actually sending this to the printer. And it's a promo poster. It's going to be a Adobe PDF. And of course, there's lots of ways that you can format it. So you could do a JPEG if that's what you need to do. PDF is typically what my college's print shop prefers when we send things electronically. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Export. Thank you for watching.